They queued up like the famished in food lines, but what this crowd was hungry for was a glimpse of a 7-foot-tall drag queen icon and his autobiography. RuPaul Andre Charles is a man who dresses and performs as a woman. And like other characters bigger than life, he goes by a singular moniker.
My name is RuPaul, the first face of MAC Cosmetics.
And a multi-million-dollar makeup empire is betting RuPaul will increase its sales.
I mean, nobody wears as much makeup as I wear. You better work.
This man has turned cross-dressing into a high-profile career that includes acting in a recent Spike Lee flick, The Brady Bunch movie, and a soon-to-be-released film with Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes. RuPaul also writes and sings music. His Supermodel was nominated for an MTV award. He shared his feminine side with another showman, Elton John, and RuPaul mugged as stylish couples in John's Don't Go Breaking My Heart video.
Don't go breaking my heart. I couldn't if I tried.
And just this month, publishers are marketing the 34-year-old former Atlantan through tours in places such as Oxford Books. And folks like Oprah are helping spread the word.
It's RuPaul!
You may not agree with his message, but RuPaul uses it for his medium.
We're all in drag. I mean, face it. You know, you're born naked and the rest is drag. Whatever you put on after you get out of the shower in the morning is your drag.
RuPaul has risen from potential freak to potent phenomena. And while his act may not go over in every circle, it's a fun demonstration of amazing grace with an amazing face.
Welcome to the 9th annual Fashion Cares Extravaganza.
He wowed them in Toronto last month, headlining one of the biggest AIDS benefits in the world. Hundreds paid $1,000 a plate for a musical review and fashion show, partially sponsored by the popular Canadian makeup line, MAC Cosmetics.
Do you like my outfit?
MAC president Frank Toscan was so sure of RuPaul's appeal, he chose the performer as his company's first ever cover girl.
Since the beginning, MAC has always stood for all races, all sexes, all ages. We could never put a face to that, and finally, Ru came along and he was perfect. He fit the bill.
MAC also chose RuPaul to chair its own AIDS benefit program. He'll travel the world promoting MAC and its Viva Glam lipstick. All sale proceeds from that item go to AIDS research. And so far, RuPaul and his I am what I am attitude have raised more than $2.5 million. That attitude also catapulted him to celebrity circles. But Toronto fashion benefits and New York limousines are a far cry from RuPaul's career beginnings in Atlanta's gay clubs. In the early 80s, he sang and performed as a female impersonator known as Star Booty. You could see him in midtown clubs, cable access shows, and even underground movies. He admits to a little formal training and credits his classes at the former Northside High School of the Performing Arts for developing his early talent.
I was around other like-minded individuals who were exploring themselves and being artistic and just giving it and testing themselves. And I just love that. And it was enabled me to discover what I had a clue that I had all along, that I had a great personality and I was outgoing, and it was the best thing. And also,
Northside proved to be a lifesaver for the youngster who had just moved to Atlanta from hometown San Diego.
At the time, I was 15, and I was troubled. I had to move in with my sister Renetta, because she's always looked out after me and stuff. But I was doing really bad in school, going nowhere fast, And she said, well, come live with us. And then a few months later, she said, well, we're moving to Atlanta, the Black Mecca, Chocolate City, so you want to come with us? And I said, sure, Only thing I knew about Atlanta was that Jimmy Carter was there and Hank Aaron, home run king. That's all I knew about Atlanta. And then when I got there, coming from San Diego, I was so amazed that I had no idea there were so many black people in the world.
Your mother named you RuPaul because she said you were going to be famous and nobody else would have that name.
And that's the truth. My real name is Rupaul Andre Charles. It's really wild because even as a kid, I knew that this is what I didn't know I was going to be doing this with drag and stuff, but I knew I was going to be famous. I knew I was going to be a star. I didn't know how, when, what, but I knew by any means necessary I was going to do it.
Your mother was a character, and you're very honest about her in the book. You say you either loved her or you hate her. People called her mean, Miss Charles. But I also realize that you see her as your persona on stage.
Yeah, I do. She's my inspiration. She's such a character and such her own person. And I have to say, too, that as I was writing the book, I realized that a lot of my chutzpah and stick-withiness and be on my own thing really came from her. I mean,
This is a special shot going out to my mama, Miss Ernest.
RuPaul wrote a musical tribute to his mother, Back to My Roots. It centers around a beauty parlor. To earn money for her family, Mrs. Ernestine Charles used to style neighbors' hair in her kitchen.
How did she feel about her only son being one of the other girls?
she would say, "Oh, you crazy. You are crazy." But in her way, that was still saying, you know, she loves me and that do whatever you want to do. Because that was her philosophy. You do whatever you want to do so long as you ain't hurt nobody else.
His sister Rosie had a different philosophy. RuPaul remembers when she handed him a magazine article about a man who underwent a sex change operation.
I was very puzzled because at the time, I think it was 1970, I really wasn't thinking about my sexuality or what was going on. And I was just puzzled. And I kid her about it today. Because I think maybe she was thinking that, you know, you have options, Ru. Because when I was a kid, everybody in the neighborhood or whoever would said I was very much like a girl and I looked like a girl. And they said that my sister Rosie should have been a boy and that I should have been a girl. I couldn't see it. I was young and I didn't know what they were talking about. But she gave me that, and it was it's interesting. I've never felt like having like a sex change or anything. I thought at that time, I thought, well, am I a girl trapped in a boy's body? But you know, once I hit puberty, I knew that wasn't the case. I was very happy being myself, not wanting to change or anything like that.
People are willing to embrace you, talk to you, accept you. They're all over you. But when you take off that makeup and you take off that wig and you're in a man's clothing, all of a sudden you're a black man, and that's a threat.
It sure is. In fact, I feel like I'm much more of a threat to our culture out of drag than I am in drag. But when I'm in drag, you know, the world opens up. I'm like a Walt Disney character where it's like, hey, Dumbo's here.
And you said it yourself in many ways. I don't want to say a cartoon character, but you're not sexual, if you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely. I'm very, like a Walt Disney character, I'm very sort of ambiguous sexually, you know, very non-threatening. Safe, very
and
safe.
non-threatening.
Yeah, yeah.
No problem picking out this energized 7-footer in a group. When he is not dressed to kill, you take him for the nice enough looking young man we found during the sound check in Toronto.
Alan, will you grab the other microphone that's up there for Ru? It's up to the top.
But how does RuPaul get from this look to this look? It's a 3-hour transformation, and he is the usual master of the change. He shaves his head, face, eyebrows, and more. Dons a push-up bra and bodysuit. But before he puts on pantyhose, corset, makeup, and those size 13 killer heels, RuPaul performs the tuck.
I found it fascinating in this book. First chapter, you deal with the tuck. So, okay, explain to me. Why? Because I think I know the answer from this. Tell me, RuPaul. One, why did you start off with the tuck?
Well, that's the number one question everyone asks. They say, well, what do you do with it? And I'm like, you know, I'm Southern. We don't speak of such things. But, but I figured, you know, in the book, I'll just get it off the bat, just right off the bat. You know, let's just knock that out. And I go into quite
detail.
Yes, yeah.
Quite detail.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I want to learn how to walk.
I will try to do it really slowly, okay?
Okay.
So you put one foot like that and swing the hip on the other side.
All right.
And you have to keep your neck long and look straight ahead.
Okay. This is hard.
Now
And you-
work, honey. You better work, Miss Monica Kaufman.
Ah, but the life of glamour has its price, from 2 small cars to a chronic back problem.
I had the funniest laugh in your book when you were talking about in the early days being stuffed into Volkswagens and leaning sideways out cabs. So limousines are a necessity
They
for you.
really are. My hair is so big, my legs are so long, and I can't really fit into another car. I really couldn't.
And is your sciatica caused by these 6-inch heels?
Probably. You know, I'm sway back. Everybody in my family is sway back and slew foot. So, you know, I had a problem with my back with sciatica, and my chiropractor said, you know, Ru, those heels and that corset are not helping. But it's been under control since I work out and I stretch and stuff, so it's okay.
And whether he's wearing a dress or trousers, RuPaul says he'll continue preaching the words he lives by.
I think I represent the individual in every human alive. I think it's like, if Ru can do it, you can do it too.
RuPaul says he has no plans to resettle in Atlanta, but he says he would like to perform here during the Olympics. I'll be right back.